Today, we are making a tier list of anime last stand characters, moving from farms to overall meta. Let's start with farms. But before we start, like, subscribe, and watch this video till the end to become a true pro. Speedcart, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Inspired by Speedwagon from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Speedcart is more than just a farm unit. He's a philosopher with a heart of gold. With a deployment cost of $600, he operates with an SPA of 60 seconds and a range of 10.5, generating valuable resources for your team. He may seem simple, but his contribution is vital when it comes to keeping the economy going. Businessman Yojin, solo leveling. As his name suggests, Businessman Yojin means business. Coming from a solo leveling, Yojin is deployed for $600 and is all about resource generation. With a SPA of 60 seconds and a range of 10, his light element abilities aren't for fighting, they're for maximizing your resources. He's the definition of cash is king. Idol, regular summer skin. This charming idol comes straight from your favorite idol anime, ready to support your team with the power of song and resources. Deployable for $650, she brings an element of joy and cheerfulness. Her SPA ranges from 0 to 60 seconds, with her range expanding from 5 to 60. Not only will she help boost your income, but she'll also keep your team smiling through the hardest battles. Best waifu, generic anime trope. Known as the best waifu, this character isn't just about charm, she's all about protection. Deployable for $600, she's a farm unit that adds personality to your squad. With a SPA of 60 and a range of 10, she's there to generate income and, let's face it, add some anime heart-throbbing moments to your team. When she's around, the enemies won't dare touch your teammates. Ison, post-orb. Ison is a cunning and powerful support unit with light element abilities. His attacks begin as an AoE line, evolving into an AoE circle. With a deployment cost of $1,750, and total cost of $225,000, Aizen brings heavy-hitting damage, $15,000 to $910,000, and useful crowd control with his stun passive. His range expands from 26 to 38, and despite his increasing SPA, his massive damage and utility make him a must-have on the battlefield. Blue Admiral, War. The Blue Admiral delivers water element AoE attacks that freeze enemies, adding excellent crowd control to his support role. His damage starts modestly, 2,310 to 63,300, but his AoE expands from line to full, locking enemies in place for long-range assaults. Though his SPA increases from 5 to 10, his impressive range of 50 makes him great for slowing enemies and providing consistent support throughout battles. Curse King, Shadow Fusion. A dark element powerhouse, Curse King brings both DPS and support with his Dismantle and Paralysis passives. His AoE attacks alternate between circle and full, offering flexibility in targeting, with damage ranging from 17,500 to 575,000 and a fast early SPA of 3 to 8. Curse King weakens enemies while delivering devastating blows, making him an indispensable support and damage-dealing unit. Dragon Princess. The Dragon Princess is a fire element hybrid unit, excellent for both support and damage rolls with her stun passive. She provides consistent AoE circle attacks, dealing 7,000 to 100,000 damage. With a low SPA of 4 to 5.5 and a decent range, Dragon Princess controls the battlefield while delivering reliable damage from early to mid-game. Green Esper. The Green Esper is an air unit wielding nature element AoE attacks. With exceptional range, 45 to 50, and a slow passive to hinder enemies, she delivers moderate damage, 4,340 to 44,300. Her fast SPA of 3 ensures enemies remain under pressure, making Green Esper a crucial support unit to manage the flow of battle from a distance. Hero Hunter, Bloodthirsty. The Hero Hunter unleashes powerful water element attacks, crippling enemies with his Cripple passive. His AoE line attack evolves into full AoE, covering wide areas and dealing 11,700 to 98,400 damage. His SPA improves from 7 to 6, and his range, 20 to 35, allows him to deliver impactful support across most battlefields. Ice Elf Emperor. This water element hybrid unit excels in support with his Cripple passive, using both AoE line and circle attacks. With damage scaling from 5,020 to 323,000, he proves powerful in mid-game. His SPA, 6.5 to 7.5, and range 22 to 45 make him effective at crowd control, softening up enemies while dealing notable damage. Kakeyoni. As an air unit with nature element attacks, Kakeyoni provides critical support with his slow passive. His AoE circle attacks increase in potency, starting at 2,500 and growing to 230,000. His fast spa, 3 to 4.5, and range 30 to 48 enable Kakeyoni to slow large groups of enemies, becoming invaluable in extended battles. Shadow Sorcerer focused. The Shadow Sorcerer specializes in both damage and support with his Dark Element AoE line and circle attacks, inflicting bleed, paralysis, and cripple on enemies. His damage soars from 14,500 to 1,150,000, and although his SPA increases from 5.5 to 11, his immense damage output and range, 25 to 50, make him a deadly support unit. String Warlord Awakened. A Dark Element hybrid unit, the String Warlord uses his Fear passive to dominate the battlefield with AoE line, circle, and full attacks. His damage ranges from 4,700 to 225,000, and despite his SPA increasing 3 to 8.5, he remains a strong support, weakening enemies and dealing consistent damage. Strongest Sorcerer Unmasked. The Strongest Sorcerer delivers potent light element support, starting with full AoE and transitioning into line attacks. His damage grows from 7,000 to 550,000, and while his SPA increases 4 to 12, his hybrid attacks and range 25 to 40 make him essential for boosting team damage during critical phases of battle. The Ascended Mage, a hill unit with light element attacks, the Ascended Mage offers strong support thanks to her paralysis passive and AoE circle attacks, with damage scaling from 9,300 to 265,200 and a moderate SPA 4 to 8. She excels at locking down enemies while delivering reliable damage from long range. Wood Ninja. The Wood Ninja is a hybrid nature element unit specializing in AoE attacks with poison and cripple passives. His damage increases from 6,000 to 300,000, and his SPA, 6 to 5.5, ensures consistent strikes. With a range of 30 to 45, Wood Ninja is a reliable support unit, weakening enemies and applying poison damage over time. Burning Hero, Devil Sign. Inspired by Endeavor from My Hero Academia, the Burning Hero is a symbol of determination and power. With a deployment cost of $600, he wields fire-based AoE circle attacks, dealing damage starting at 8,000 and increasing to a blazing 351. His burn passive ensures that enemies keep feeling the heat long after the initial strike. With his fiery resolve, he's the hero that never backs down. 2. Butterfly Breather Demon Slayer. Based on Shinobu Kocho from Demon Slayer, the Butterfly Breather delivers both poison and slow effects to her enemies. Deployable for $700, her AoE circle attacks start with 6,010 damage and reach up to 78,000. Elegant and deadly, her mastery over nature ensures that enemies are weakened and slowed it down, leaving them vulnerable to follow-up attacks. Don't be fooled by her graceful demeanor, she's a lethal force on the battlefield. 3. Heavenly Chad, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Inspired by Heaven, Ascended DIO from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Heavenly Chad brings a dark, terrifying power to the field. Deployable for $900, his AoE circle attacks deal damage ranging from 5,660 to 103,000. With his cold and confident persona, he's a nightmare for anyone in his path. His dark energy devastates enemies and turns the tide of battle. 4. Karuto, Sage, Naruto. Karuto is a sage-like figure inspired by characters from Naruto. Deployable for $550, his AoE line and AoE circle attacks range from 3,750 to 46,500 damage. His deep understanding of nature and energy makes him a wise and powerful ally. Whether he's unleashing massive energy waves or targeting enemies from afar, Karuto is always in tune with the battlefield. 5. Shark Ninja, Naruto. Inspired by Kasame Hoshigaki from Naruto, Shark Ninja blends brute strength and precision. Deployable for $700, he uses AoE circle and AoE line attacks to deal 4,000 to 95,000 damage. With his aggressive and unpredictable nature, he can manipulate the battlefield with his deadly attacks, ensuring his enemies don't escape the water's bite. 6. Water Breather, Demon Slayer. Based on Tanjiro Kamaido from Demon Slayer, the Water Breather is a versatile and resilient fighter. For $550, he transitions between AoE cone and AoE circle attacks, with damage ranging from 1,640 to 36,800. His slow passive ensures enemies struggle to keep up, giving his teammates the opportunity to finish them off. 7th Division Captain, former Bleach, inspired by Sajin Komamura from Bleach. This towering captain enters the battle with a cost of $600. His AoE circle attacks deal damage from 14,000 to 375,000, with a burn passive that causes continuous damage over time. Once unleashed, his fierce loyalty and strength make him a formidable opponent. Aizen Post-Orb Bleach. Based on Aizen Sosuke from Bleach, Aizen's post-orb form is both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Deployable for $1,750, his AoE line and AoE circle attacks deal damage, starting at 15,000 and maxing out at 910,000. His stun passive ensures that enemies remain paralyzed, unable to escape his powerful strikes. Almighty Ninja Naruto. Inspired by Nagato from Naruto, the Almighty Ninja is a force to be reckoned with. Deployable for $800, his AoE circle attacks range from 5,500 to 68,750 damage. His slow passive hinders enemy movement, making him a strategic asset for controlling the battlefield. Asuda, Half Devil, Chainsaw Man. Inspired by AKI Hayakawa from Chainsaw Man, Asuda is deployable for $2,500. His AoE line and AoE circle attacks deal damage, ranging from 18,000 to an impressive 880,000. With his devilish abilities, he wreaks havoc on the battlefield, dealing heavy damage while maintaining a cool, composed demeanor. Curse King. Shadow Fusion. Curse King wields immense power with a unique combination of attack types. With a deployment cost of $1,750, he can deal devastating damage starting at 17,500 and scaling up to 575,000. His AoE circle attacks come with the ability to paralyze enemies, making him a formidable ally and essential for crowd control on the battlefield. Division Captain. This powerful hill unit commands attention with a deployment cost of $20,000. His AoE line attacks can deal up to 400,000 damage, positioning him as a dominant presence in any confrontation. Division Vice Captain. With a cost of $450, the Division Vice Captain delivers precise damage through AoE, cone, and AoE circle attacks. His damage ranges from 7,600 to 48,000, making him a reliable unit for focused engagements. Dragon Princess, Dragon's Crown. Based on the fierce and elegant Milim Nava from Dragon's Crown, the Dragon Princess brings devastating AoE circle attacks to the field. For $1,000, she deals damage ranging from 7,000 to 100,000, with a passive ability to stun enemies, keeping them locked in place for the kill. She's beautiful, powerful, and absolutely deadly. Fortune Master. Jackpot. Fortune Master brings unpredictability to the battlefield. With a deployment cost of $777, his attacks range from 7,777 to 377,777, making him a wild card capable of turning the tide of battle with his manipulation of fortune. Ichiko, Hollow Form. In her Hollow Form, Ichiko transforms into a fearsome combatant. Although specific details are under wraps, her abilities promise high damage output and unique skills that can shift the battle in her team's favor. Itadari, Enraged. Driven by rage, Itadari unleashes his fury with a deployment cost of $2,000. His AoE circle attacks deal between 8,000 and 372,500 damage, making him a dangerous adversary with his unrelenting assaults. Lord Noir. With a deployment cost of $1,000, Lord Noir commands Dark Element AoE, Circle, and AoE line attacks. His damage scales from 10,000 to 150,000, and his ability to deal high DPS makes him a force to be reckoned with. Ninal Spirit. Ninal provides unity on the battlefield with a deployment cost of $1,800. Her AoE circle attacks deal damage from 13,000 to 840,000, making her a vital asset in controlling and weakening enemies. Overtime Sorcerer. The Overtime Sorcerer combines AoE, Circle, and AoE to line attacks for a deployment cost of $650. His damage ranges from 3,500 to 73,750, making him a versatile support unit capable of contributing to both offense and defense. Red Pirate, One Piece. Inspired by Shanks from One Piece, the Red Pirate is as fearsome as they come. For $900, his AoE line attacks deal damage from 5,000 to 150,000. He commands the battlefield with his gravity powers, slowing enemies and controlling the flow of the fight. He's a master of strategy and brute force. Scarlet Fairy. With a deployment cost of $1,500, the Scarlet Fairy deals area damage through AoE, line, and AoE, cone attacks, with damage scaling from 10,000 to 360,000. She's a reliable unit for inflicting significant damage across large areas. Shadow, the Eminence in Shadow. CID Kaganu from the Eminence in Shadow is the perfect embodiment of strategic warfare. For $1,750, his AoE attacks evolve from line to full AoE, with damage ranging from 13,500 to 900,000. His passive bleed effect ensures that enemies continuously lose health, turning the tide of battle with each strike. Shadow Sorcerer, Focused. Shadow Sorcerer brings high stakes to any battle with a deployment cost of $800. His AoE, line, and AoE, circle attacks scale from 14,500 to 1,150,000, making him a devastating force in both offensive and support roles. Time King, your original character. The Time King controls the flow of time and enemies. Deployable for $2,000, he evolves from ground to hybrid with light element AoE circle and full AoE attacks. His damage starts at 20,000 and peaks at 620,000, making him a crucial strategic asset on any battlefield. His stun passive helps manipulate the tempo of combat, ensuring victory. Ulmiora Segunda. Ulmiora's AoE, line, and AoE circle attacks deliver devastating damage, scaling from 16,500 to 765,000 for a deployment cost of $750. His dark element attacks make him a lethal option on the battlefield. Wood Ninja. With a deployment cost of $650, the Wood Ninja specializes in AoE circle and AoE line attacks, with damage scaling from 6,000 to 300,000. His versatility makes him an excellent choice for both crowd control and damage dealing. Wrath. The Seven Deadly Sins, Wrath, inspired by Meliodas from the Seven Deadly Sins, is a master of rage. Deployable for $1,000, he unleashes AoE circle attacks with damage starting at 12,500 and growing up to 50,000. His ability to inflict damage and burn enemies ensures that no one survives his wrath on the battlefield. Ichiko, Hollow Form. Ichigo Kurosaki in his hollow form brings a new level of intensity to the battlefield. With a deployment cost of $1,250, this fire element fighter evolves from ground to hybrid, switching between AoE cone, line, and circle attacks. His damage starts at 10,000 and scales up to 1,300,000, with his range growing from 28 to 45. As his attacks grow more powerful, they also introduce fear and cripple enemies. If you need a protective hero with fiery determination, Ichiko is the ideal choice. Pride, the One. Escanor's overwhelming pride is unmatched as he dominates with his hybrid form and fire-based attacks. His AoE circle expands into full AoE with damage starting at 156,000 and maxing out at 1,200,000. His range extends from 26.1 to 43.5, ensuring no enemy can escape the radiant light of the sun. Red Pirate. Bro uses his gravity powers to bring chaos to the battlefield, slowing enemies and creating crucial openings for devastating attacks. His ability to control the flow of battle makes him invaluable. Slime Devil Lord. Rimuru Tempest returns as a meta support unit with strong crowd control abilities. He paralyzes, burns, and cripples enemies, making him essential for strategies focused on stalling or delivering area damage. His versatility as a ground to hybrid unit ensures his importance in any lineup. Strongest Sorcerer Unsealed. Gojo Satoru, unsealed and in his full power, is both a DPS and support character. With his AoE attacks and a range of debuffs, he controls space effectively while delivering immense damage, ensuring enemies are kept at bay. Surgeon of Death, Awakened. Trafalgar Law, the Surgeon of Death, brings his tactical skills to the battlefield. With a deployment cost of $550, his water element attacks electrify and slow enemies with pinpoint accuracy. His damage starts at 8,760 and rises to 200,000 with an AoE circle attack that covers a range of 30 to 35. His SPA ranges from 6 to 7, making him an excellent support unit, particularly when paired with crowd control allies. Tada Boogie Woogie. AoE Toto's Boogie Woogie technique is all about disrupting enemy positions. With a deployment cost of $550, his AoE circle attacks deal damage starting at 8,000 and scaling up to 475,000. His range extends from 31 to 44, while his SPA ranges from 3 to 5. As a nature element unit, Toto can stun and cripple enemies, making him invaluable for interrupting their powerful attacks. The True Cursed King. Sukuna continues his reign as the True Cursed King, excelling as a meta support character. His Dark Element dismantling abilities weaken enemies while dealing powerful AoE attacks. Starting at 81,500 damage and peaking at 975,000, Sukuna can paralyze or dismantle foes with ease. His attack types vary between full AoE, circle, cone, and line, ensuring no enemy escapes his wrath. Time King. Time King's vision of a world without discrimination translates to absolute battlefield control. For a deployment cost of $2,000, he evolves from ground to hybrid, dealing light element damage through circle and full AoE attacks. His damage starts at 20,000 and peaks at 620,000, with a range from 30 to 38. As a strategic support unit, Time King manipulates both time and enemies to secure victory. Unleashed. Umbral Prince. The Umbral Prince thrives in darkness, using his hybrid nature and dark element powers to slow down enemies. For a deployment cost of $850, he attacks with an AoE circle that grows into full AoE, with damage starting at 8,340 and reaching 392,250. His range spans from 25 to 40, ensuring his slow effects cripple even the fastest foes. The deeper the darkness, the stronger this prince becomes. Voldera. Dragon Rage. Veldora's Dragon Rage fuels not only his DPS but also his role as a support unit. His electrified attacks paralyze enemies and provide crowd control, ensuring that both frontline and support foes are decimated by his overwhelming power and versatile attack patterns. Dark Captain Magic Zone Black Clover. Based on Yami Sukahiro from Black Clover, the Dark Captain is a powerhouse of dark energy. Deployable for $1,000, he deals Dark Element AoE circle and line attacks with damage ranging from 3,200 to 700,000. With his fast attack speed and high damage output, the Dark Captain ensures enemies fall quickly and decisively. Jester Blood Rage. Original character. The Jester is a chaotic force with AoE circle attacks that deal high amounts of dark element damage. Deployable for $900, his damage starts at 18,000 and reaches 450,000. His Bloodlust increases his efficiency with each strike, ensuring he's as dangerous in the final moments as he is at the start. Night King. The Night King is an honorable fighter wielding light element AoE cone and circle attacks. Deployable for $1,250, his damage starts at 8,000 and increases to 80,000, making him a reliable choice for holding the line and striking down foes with unyielding righteousness. Monster number 8, Kaiju number 8. Inspired by Kafka Haibino from Kaiju number 8, this powerhouse ground unit deals devastating fire element AoE attacks. For $800, his damage ranges from 4,400 to an incredible 1,450,000, making him an unstoppable force that can level the battlefield with ease. Tada Boogie Woogie. Jujutsu Kaisen. Inspired by AOI Toto from Jujutsu Kaisen, Tada uses his Boogie Woogie technique to swap positions with enemies, leaving them disoriented. Deployable for $550, his AoE circle attacks range from 8,000 to 475,000. His passive stun and cripple abilities ensure that enemies are left vulnerable to your team's devastating attacks. Black Swordsman. Inspired by Guts from Berserk, the Black Swordsman is a relentless warrior haunted by a dark past. Wielding the massive Dragon Slayer sword, he tears through enemies with sheer strength. Starting with 10,500 damage, his full AoE strike evolves to a maximum of 852,500. His passive ability causes bleeding effects on enemies, turning into Hemorrhage for even more brutal damage. Oni General Onimusha. Inspired by the Oni General from Onimusha, this fire element fighter deploys for $1,000, with damages ranging from 3,000 to 90,000. His black flames devastate enemies with both AoE line and circle attacks. Loyal and powerful, the Oni General defends his allies while burning down anyone in his path. Pride the One, inspired by Escanor from the 7 Deadly Sins, Pride the One is the embodiment of overwhelming strength, deployable for $3,750. His fire element AoE attacks burn through enemies, with damage starting at 156,000 and going up to 200,000. He even buffs his entire team's damage, making him a critical asset to any squad. Slime Devil Lord. That time I got reincarnated as a slime. Inspired by Rimuru Tempest, the Slime Devil Lord can paralyze, burn, and instill fear in his enemies. Deployable for $1,000, his damage scales from 10,000 to 1,300,000, with his attacks transitioning from ground to hybrid. He's the embodiment of versatility, ensuring no enemy can withstand his might. Strongest Sorcerer, Unsealed, Jujutsu Kaisen, Gojo Satoru from Jujutsu. Kaisen is a hybrid unit that dominates both ground and air, deployable for $2,500. His attacks range from line to full AoE, dealing damage from 25,000 to a staggering 1,450,000. His ability to control space and manipulate his enemies makes him one of the most powerful sorcerers on the battlefield. Sunwoo, Winter, the god of high school. Jinmori, also known as Sunwoo from the god of high school, controls Winter itself. For $520, he unleashes Dark Element AoE attacks that cripple and burn his enemies. His damage ranges from 2,599 to 378,200, while his range extends from 20 to 60. With multiple attack types, Sunwoo is a force to be reckoned with, chilling his enemies to their core. True Cursed King, Jujutsu Kaisen. Based on Ryomen Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen, the True Cursed King is a terrifying presence on the battlefield. For $5,000, his attacks shift between full AoE, circles, cones, and lines, dealing damage from 81,500 to 975,000. His Dark Element dismantling abilities make him one of the most feared units in the game, capable of paralyzing and obliterating foes with ease. Dragon Princess, Dragonoid. Meet the Dragon Princess straight out of Dragon's Crown. She may look elegant, but don't be fooled. She's got a fiery temper. With a deployment cost of $1,250, she brings AoE circle attacks, stunning enemies left and right, starting at 12,000 damage and maxing out at 920,000. Her attack range scales from 28 to 40, and her SPA, seconds per attack, goes from a speedy 4 to a more leisurely 6.5. She's the queen of multitasking, setting the battlefield on fire and looking good while doing it. Itadori, Enraged. Yuji Itadori from Jujutsu Kaisen isn't playing around. After confronting his inner demons, he's ready to unleash his rage with AoE circle attacks. Deploy him for $2,000 and watch him evolve into a hybrid powerhouse, with damage starting at 8,000 and climbing to 372,500. His range may start small at 15, but he stretches it to 33 while adjusting his SPA from 6.5 to a lightning fast 5. His fiery fists leave a lasting impact, probably on your face. Monster number 8. Kaiju number 8 isn't your average monster. This beast from Kaiju number 8 delivers fire-based attacks that stun enemies with each strike. Starting with a humble $800 deployment cost, he quickly ramps up, going from 4,400 damage to a monstrous 1,450,000, while transitioning from line attacks to AoE circles. His range expands from 25 to 40, ensuring no enemy is safe. If you think he's going to let anyone survive, think again. Oni General. From Onimusha, the Oni General may be loyal, but he doesn't hold back in battle. Deploy him for $1,000 and he'll unleash black flames on his foes. His damage starts at 3,000 but hits 90,000 by the time he's fully powered. His attack evolves from a line to a circle, and his SPA decreases from 7 to 6 with a range spanning 19 to 22. He's the kind of warrior who will defend you with his life, unless you're on the wrong side. Pride the One. Escanor from the 7 Deadly Sins is the ultimate powerhouse when the sun is at its peak. As he says, he doesn't hate you, he pities you for standing in his way. Deploying him costs $3,750, and he unleashes fire-based attacks, burning enemies to ash. His AoE attacks start as circles and evolve into full AoE, while his damage rises from 156,000 to a staggering 1,200,000. With a range of 26.1 to 43.5, Escanor is as overpowered as his ego. Slime, Devil Lord, Rimuru Tempest. From that time, I got reincarnated as a slime returns among the top 10 DPS units. His versatility as a ground to hybrid unit makes him a force to be reckoned with. Starting with 10,000 damage and scaling up to 1,300,000, his attacks shift from circles to cones and eventually full AoE. His range spans 23 to 51, and he brings a devastating array of effects including paralysis, burn, and fear. Who said slimes were weak? Strongest sorcerer, unsealed. Gojo Satoru from Jujutsu Kaisen isn't just strong, he's the strongest. After being unsealed, he's ready to dominate. Deploy him for $2,500, and his AoE attacks deal damage starting at 25,000 and maxing out at a mind-boggling 1,450,000. His range expands from 25 to 50, with attacks that shift between line and full AoE. His SPA ranges from 4 to 9, but honestly, when you're Gojo, time bends to your will. Sunwoo Winter. Jin Mori from God of High School continues to dominate as Sunwoo. With his hybrid nature, he unleashes dark element attacks that cause bleeding, burning, and crippling effects on his enemies. Deployable for just $520, he's an economical yet powerful option, delivering damage ranging from $2,599 to $378,200. His range spans 20 to 60, and his attack patterns shift through circles, lines, and cones. If you think winter is coming, think again. Sunwoo is winter. The true cursed king. Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen is the ultimate cursed spirit, and he doesn't play nice. With a deployment cost of $5,000, he brings a devastating array of dark element attacks, dismantling his enemies with ease. His damage starts at 81,500 and skyrockets to 975,000, while his range grows from 25 to 48. His attack types include full AoE, circles, cones, and lines. If you cross paths with this king, remember, he's not taking prisoners. Voldera. Dragon Rage Veldora. From that time I got reincarnated as a slime takes the spotlight as a top-tier DPS unit. Deployable for $10,000, this light element hybrid unit unleashes devastating AoE attacks, starting with 120,000 damage and ramping up to 1,350,000. His range may seem modest at 31 to 38, but when you're throwing Hadoukens like they're going out of style, who needs more range? Paralysis and sheer raw power are his signature moves. Black Swordsman. Berserk. Inspired by Guts from Berserk, the Black Swordsman is a relentless warrior haunted by a dark past. Wielding the massive Dragon Slayer sword, he tears through his enemies with sheer strength. In battle, his attack evolves from a focused cone to a devastating full AoE strike. With a starting damage of 10,500 and reaching up to 852,500 at max level, his passive ability causes bleed effects on enemies, turning into hemorrhage for even more brutal damage. Range of his attacks expands from 21.5 to an impressive 48.4, making him a versatile fighter as he transitions from ground to hybrid. Monster number 8, based on Kafka Hibino from Kaiju number 8, Monster number 8 is a devastating ground unit. Deployable for $800, his AoE circle attack grows in power, starting at 4,400 and maxing out at 1,450,000. His ability to control the battlefield with powerful attacks and stuns makes him an essential part of any winning team. Pride the One, Escanor, with his overwhelming ego and power, burns everything in his path. His hybrid AoE circle attack transforms into full AoE, with damage ranging from 156,000 to a massive 1,200,000. His ability to buff teammates' damage makes him a top choice for any squad. Red Pirate, Shanks from One Piece, brings control and power to the battlefield. His AoE cone evolves into full AoE, dealing damage from 2,500 to 354,960. His bleed, stun, and poison effects make him one of the most versatile and dangerous units in the game. Shadow the Eminence in Shadow, CID Kajinu enters the fight with precision and adaptability. His attacks shift from AoE line to full AoE, dealing damage from 13,500 to 900,000. His passive bleed effect makes sure enemies don't survive his onslaught for long. Slime, Devil Lord, Rimuru Tempest once again shows his dominance. His attacks evolve from ground to hybrid with devastating results, transitioning from AoE Circle to full AoE with damage maxing out at 1,300,000. Paralysis, Fear, and Burn effects follow wherever Rimuru goes, ensuring total battlefield control. Strongest Sorcerer, Unsealed, Gojo Satoru dominates both on the ground and in the air. With an incredible range from 25 to 50, his full AoE attack hits with immense power, reaching up to 1,450,000 damage. He's as untouchable as he is powerful, bending space and time to his will. Sunwoo Winter, from God of High School Jin Mori, also known as Sunwoo, brings a blizzard of abilities. He's got passive effects like Bleed, Burn, Hemorrhage, and Cripple, because why settle for just one? His attack range stretches from 20 to 60, evolving his attacks from a simple circle to full AoE line and cone attacks. His damage skyrockets from 2,500 to 378,000. He's basically a one-man weather system, but instead of snowflakes, you get devastation. Surgeon of Death, Awaken, One Piece, Trafalgar D. Law brings surgical precision to the battlefield. Deployable for $550, his AoE Circle attack deals damage from 8,760 to 200,000, with his water-based powers paralyzing enemies. His strategic value is unmatched, especially for teams looking to control and debilitate their enemies. Tata, Boogie Woogie. AOI Toto's famous Boogie Woogie technique allows him to swap places with enemies, keeping them on their toes. Deployable for $550, his AoE Circle attack deals damage from 8,000 to 475,000. His stun and cripple passives ensure enemies are disoriented and vulnerable. The true Cursed King, Jujutsu Kaisen. As the King of Curses, Sukuna's power is undeniable. With a range that grows from 25 to 48, his attacks dismantle everything in their path. His Dark Element abilities allow him to paralyze enemies and cause widespread destruction. He transitions from ground to hybrid, dealing maximum damage of 975,000. Veldora, Dragon Rage. Veldora, from that time I got reincarnated as a slime, is a powerful light element hybrid unit. Deployable for $10,000, his damage starts at 120,000 and increases to 1,350,000. His AoE attacks shift from circle to full, while his passive paralysis ability ensures no enemy gets back up after facing his wrath. Check these vids out.